So sometimes the smartest way to solve a problem is to actually understand why it exists in the first place. We can see the illustration of this example so well done by Aamir Khan, where without even realizing he has used strategic thinking so beautifully. Let's see how.
Straight and simple question. There are two things we've discussed so far. One is OTT versus theatre. Where do you stand on it? Second is, how does one expand the reach and the market and the audience of Indian cinema, in particular in your case, Hindi cinema, not just Indian India, and what's held it back over the years? Ladies and gentlemen, Aamir Khan, the floor is yours.
Well, I have always believed that in India, we have very few theatres for the size of the country and for the number of people living in India. We have very few theatres. So, just to give an example, and my data is usually wrong, so you correct me. But in India, we have around 10,000 screens. 9,200, so roughly 10,000. In the US, which is 1/3 our population, or maybe 1/4 our population, they have 40,000 screens. So, they're way ahead of us, though they have less population. China has 90,000 or 100,000? 90,000. 90,000 screens in China compared to our 10,000. Now, even in this 10,000, half of them are in the south and half are for the rest of the country. So for a Hindi film, typically you have a maximum of 5,000 screens. Our biggest hits over the years, no matter which film it is, has had a theatrical footfall of 3 crore people or 3.5 crore people. Am I saying the right thing? That's what percentage of our population? 1, 2, 2%? So 2% of our population in a country which is recognized as a film-loving country, only 2% of the population watches our biggest hit in theatres. So where is the remaining 98% watching the film? So my belief has always been that we need to have a lot more theatres in India, and theatres of different kinds, and there are so many districts, there are tracts of areas in India, vast areas, which don't have a single theatre for people to watch films. So I feel that one of the biggest issues that we have faced over the decades is we just don't have enough screens. And according to me, that is what we should be investing in. According to me, India has a huge potential, massive potential. But that potential will only be realized when you have those point of sales across the country. If you don't, then I just can't watch the film. I can hear about it. For example, if I'm living in the Konkan area, there's no theatre there. I can hear about the film. I can see the chatter online, but I can't watch it. There's no way I can watch it unless I go piracy. So in a legal manner, it is not possible for me to watch the film. And that's a very unfortunate situation. So the first thing we need to do is we must have more screens. We have a lot more potential for screens in India.
So Aamir Khan did not just say that films have started flopping in India because they are bad. What he did was that he actually dug deeper and he looked at the system in itself. So here's the first point that we can say. He argued that India has only about 10,000 cinema theatres, like screens, compared to the ones in the US, that's around 40,000, and for China, it's even more, that's around 90,000. And in many parts of India, there's not a single theatre available. So that means that even if people want to actually go and watch a film, they simply cannot. What is the strategic thinking lesson we can derive out of this is that before blaming the surface level issue, ask what's stopping people from even showing up in the first place.
And the second question I asked you, where do you stand in the OTT versus theatre debate?
Well, I just feel that, you see, earlier films would come in theatres and then it would, I remember many years back, it would be a year later, it would be on satellite. Then it became 8 months later on satellite. Then it became 6 months later on satellite. So what happens is I have a choice as an audience that, okay, I can watch the film in the theatre as it releases, or I can wait 6 months and watch it on satellite. If I have to be very honest to my audience when I'm marketing my film, I have to tell my audience that, guys, my film is releasing. But all those people who are on this particular subscription on this particular OTT, they've already bought my film. They don't need to come to the theaters. The ones who are not in this OTT, please come and watch my film. This is my communication that I'll have to make in all honesty, which is a very awkward communication. So according to me, that window is too small. That between theatrical and OTT, you're killing your own business. If I tell you buy a Maruti car, and if you don't, I'll drop it at your house after 4 weeks. Why will you buy it? You'll say, yes, drop it at my house after 8 weeks. I'll wait. And in a price-sensitive country like India, this matters a big deal. So I seriously feel that you have to, this is something that needs to be looked at, in my opinion.
So that's when he moved on to the second problem. That is the general debate of OTT versus theaters and the timelines related to that. So the idea was that in the past you would actually have to wait for around 6 months to see the movie on TV or like in any form of, at least 6 months was the time. But now it's just you have to give it 8 weeks and then it's going to be out there on any kind of OTT platform that you have a subscription to. It's that simple. But what comparison Aamir Khan did here was that today if somebody tells you buy my car, but then if you don't buy my car, I'll come to your house and I'll drop it within 8 weeks of time for free. And then why would you want it now, right? So one of the second lessons rather, is that think from your customer's point of view. If you actually give them a good enough reason to wait, they will.
I'm saying that is a separate topic. Whether your film is good or your film is bad, this business model doesn't make sense to me. If I make a very good film, this business model still doesn't make sense to me. So I'm saying irrespective of quality of film, because that is a separate topic entirely. Right. Remove that from the business aspect of it. I make a good film, I make a bad film, doesn't matter. What is my business model? Which according to me currently, it's a very faulty.
How do you actually separate the problem from the product? One of the best ways that he put that through is that even if you end up making a very, very good film, or if the film is like really bad, it does not, regardless of that, the business model problem remains the same. Whether or not the film is good or bad. So one of the lessons that we can learn here is that you really need to separate the quality of the product from the flaws of the ecosystem. So if the system is broken anyway, even great products are bound to fail.
Mind you, I have nothing against OTT. I think as a consumer, it's great. I get to watch thousands of content for a small fee. So it's a great innovation. It's a great platform. I think it should be used well. And as a creative person, I might even want to go straight to OTT if I'm making a long form content. I might decide, this, I don't want to be in theaters. I want to go straight and offer it to films, the audiences on that platform. I think each platform has its own benefits and strengths, but they should be used well. And, you shouldn't, ideally the pipeline should be smooth, where you're not eating into your own business each time.
Last lessons that we learn from what Aamir Khan says is that you need to invest in more screens and you make the films more available in more places in India. What you basically need to do is you fix the release model so that theaters and OTT, both of them equally benefit, and this way Bollywood can actually reach the massive untapped market or an audience that's currently left out. So here, what we realize is that this entire video is a great example of strategic thinking, and what are the pointers to take away is basically you identify the root cause and not just the symptoms. Then B, you see the problem from the customer's POV, always. And C, you separate the product quality from the systemic flaws.